Hi, and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Dan.
Chris.
Lee.
And first off, I want to start off by saying happy third anniversary to us.
Yes, 3 years of podcasting.
To us. Is it today?
Or
as in like this?
This is our third anniversary show. Our first one came out on March 9th, 2015.
Oh,
We've been doing this for 3 years.
Yeah. Check it out. So
If you don't count those ones that we don't talk about.
So give yourselves a pat on the back if you've been listening since 2015. Not you, Paul.
Oh.
You've been doing it since 2015.
And occasionally I'll listen.
Same here.
actually, tweet us if you've been like a continual listener over the whole 3 years.
We'll give you a shout out in the next show.
Or it'd be interesting to know. Send us a tweet with what was the first show you listened to?
Yeah.
Yeah, do that.
Say how long people have been around.
Tweet at 3 Legs, 4 Wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a first plug for Twitter.
Yeah.
Tell us why you stayed.
You don't have to
Yeah,
go
because
that
we
far.
really want to know, actually.
No, you don't have to go that far.
You don't want to know the truth. You can't handle the truth.
No, I
I am
cannot.
calling into question your truth-handling skills.
That's fine.
I'm predicting at least 200 people don't know how to unsubscribe from podcasts on their podcast program.
They're just sitting there waiting to be listened to.
Not the little blue dot. Oh, I've
Anyway.
already got hard drive space.
That's enough of our own egos inflated.
Oh?
We're here for a reason, people. Come on.
Yeah, go on then, Lee. Your ego needs to...
My ego's barely got the wrinkles taken out of it. We need to carry on.
I don't know where the wrinkles were. Shall we talk about testing?
Yes, let's do that.
Because we had the first test last week. 4 days, 3 of which were meaningful. Unless you're Williams.
2.5 of which were meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2.5 days really out of the 4. Snow day, was it the third day of testing?
Yeah.
Basically a snow day.
Yeah, that was the Wednesday.
Yeah, the only timed lap, which was, let's be honest, not really worth timing, was Fernando Alonso's 2 minutes 18 seconds.
Best thing about Snow Day was an Instagram post from Kimi Räikkönen where he took a selfie saying, "Not sure if Spain or Finland."
There was that Danny Ricciardo took to Instagram.
Do you know what I take from that? The vodka's just as good in Spain.
Yeah, must be. The Danny Ricciardo took to Instagram before he even got to the circuit. Took a picture of had his video running on his phone of his car, his Aston Martin, which was supposed to take him to the circuit, covered in snow, and then panned round to his face where he was just shaking his head. Just like, this is not happening today, people. But yeah, the teams couldn't agree to allow, to basically just cancel that day and postpone the test by, another day.
Yeah.
Because other teams had filming.
Because it's fucking Formula One and nobody can agree on anything ever.
Well, other teams had filming days booked in other locations, as well as the Barcelona circuit actually being booked out for an extra day.
I mean, Barcelona was booked Friday and Saturday by, I want to say, Williams and Ferrari.
Yeah,
I think it was,
But there was a day, because McLaren ended... that was it, because McLaren did a filming day today.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were booked to do a filming day. I think they booked the filming day when the extra test didn't happen.
Right.
Because the Boulier's idea that he put forward, I think, was that they were going to start the test on Monday instead of Tuesday. And then like a couple of Formula One teams said no, because that would give 3 Legs, 4 Wheels news on Monday.
Yeah. And they said we can't allow that because they're just too good at what they do.
Exactly. Already kicking doors down.
Because
And they've only been going 3 years.
Yeah.
Because they've been listening since episode 18.
Exactly, yeah. When we made our first good joke.
They had to wait another 50 episodes for the next one.
We've done 18,000 episodes. Wow.
It just seemed longer at the time.
But yeah,
It looks longer if you shave it.
test. I mean, we can't really tell an awful lot from testing, but
Well, what were Williams doing on day one with Sirotkin's times being so far off the pace?
not just day one, the last day as well.
Yeah.
The final day of testing. Sirotkin was 22 seconds off the pace on day one, and 12 seconds off the pace on day 4.
15,000 hands in horse size.
Perhaps they're testing the performance of the car when it's being driven incredibly slowly.
Maybe, which would not make sense. Like,
No, but perhaps they're just bear with me, guys. They're just trying something here.
Yeah.
I reckon their reserve driver could do that with his hand tied behind his back.
Well, I did actually say, didn't I? Maybe they just sent Sergei Sorokin out there to say, just drive with one hand to see how fast you can go with one hand.
Can you get to all the buttons? Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, Robert Kubica has been doing a bit of testing in the Williams as well.
And he's still doing tests next week for them.
Yeah, he's the only reserve driver, isn't he?
Yeah, that's notable because all the other teams are just using their race drivers for the second week of testing.
Because, I mean, Mazepin was in the Force India, which...
Yep.
Yeah,
Which was a brilliant idea.
No, give him the full name. Force India for now.
Force India for now, yeah. We got a story which is currently emerging, may have taken place already by the time you listen to this.
Speculation on that later.
Will and haven't going to be have happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Duh.
But I mean, we've got to. Obviously, we don't know because it's testing. I personally don't think that I can remember a test a first test where so little is obvious. You know, even last year.
I don't know. You said last year Stroll was going to be useless when he managed to bin it twice in the first 2 days.
But that proves my point. Do you know what I mean? I could tell stuff more last year because you could see from the first test, Mercedes was strong and Ferrari had made a step forward.
Yeah.
you could see that from fucking day one.
Ferrari were up with Mercedes during tests and for the first few races.
Yeah. But this, I don't know what's going on. It looks so tight.
Well, I don't know. One thing that you have been able to tell this year that that is definitely more apparent than the last 3 years.
Williams literally can't buy a driver.
I was going to say Honda's got reliability.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Toro Rosso actually ended up doing more laps than any other team over the whole test.
And we all know how Honda struggled in the last 3 years with all the engine changes that they had to use during testing and the reduced lap count and the lack of reliability. And
So on last week's podcast, when I said that it seemed like a positive first day, because we'd only had the first day by the time we recorded last week's, it seemed like a positive day for everyone.
Yeah.
It seems like almost like a positive test for everyone.
Barring McLaren, I don't think McLaren had a positive test.
Yeah, don't.
In comparison to previous years, very positive.
But in comparison to where a lot of people thought they would
Yeah.
be at the start of 2018,
Well, Van Dorn was the third fastest driver over the whole test.
Yeah, on
the hyper soft tyres,
Yeah.
whereas everybody else wasn't using anything more than supers.
That's a
Yeah,
good point. Because
one-
I think Vettel was on softs or supers, and Hamilton's fastest time was
Yeah.
on the mediums.
1.5 seconds faster than the super soft. I think they reckon the hyper soft, so don't they? Around that circuit.
yeah, it's
something like
yeah.
that, yeah.
I mean, they will have
But,
problems.
but nobody's entirely sure because of the new tarmac on there. So
Yeah.
it might be, if all things are equal, it's 1.5 seconds faster. But because they've only recently resurfaced it,
You could argue that because of the temperatures, that maybe it should have been even quicker to get into an operating range.
Possibly.
possibly. But everyone was saying that they were struggling with actually getting any heat in there because I think the
Because it was like minus.
yeah.
Yeah, Hamilton did 9 laps on a set of mediums before he pulled into the pits and said, "I can't get heat into the tyres."
Yeah.
I think that was early on in the test. I don't think that was.
Which is reminiscent of the problems they had last year where they couldn't get the tyres to turn on.
Yeah, but I mean, it was cold.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Spain. Yeah,
Snow cold.
I think it was possibly the day before the snow came down.
Last
You
time
never know,
Hamilton-
it might be cold in Australia
Unlikely, but it could
because it's
be.
the middle of summer, but you never know.
Well, it's cold over here in the middle of summer.
Last time Hamilton seen that much snow, he was at 50 Cent party.
That's because they were playing Informer, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I like your bum bum down.
Thank you.
I said down, not down.
Up, down, I don't mind. Date's a date.
I never understood a word in that song. Got to be honest.
I don't think there were words in that song.
No, no. Anyway, moving on.
Please do.
So what did we actually learn? We didn't learn an awful lot, did we? Other than what Lee said before. It kind of looks like Mercedes and Ferrari are still the teams with a bit of pace in their pocket.
I still think the same as I said last week. Mercedes don't look quite as dominant as
No.
they have in the past.
No.
They look shaky. Yeah, they seem to be on the back foot a little bit.
They might just be doing a completely different test program to what they normally do.
That's the thing, without knowing what the test program is, without knowing the fuel loads, without knowing the relative setup of the cars, we can't really tell anything.
But why
Also-
would they do a different test program? It's worked for the past 3 years.
Everyone's done a different test program. I know we were saying about the amount of laps last week after day one. Everybody was down on laps, apart from Honda, from last year. It's, I don't know, maybe it's something to do with 2018 regulations. I'm not sure.
There is something to think when it comes to Mercedes and Ferrari that we can. I think last year, maybe you might tell me I'm wrong here. I might have got my years wrong. I don't think I have. But last year, Paddy Lowe's Mercedes won the World Championship. James Allison's Ferrari didn't.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
There was a bit of Paddy Lowe's input into that car.
Well, it would have been a low car in the same way as that Ferrari would have been.
Yeah, because those were cars competing last year that were designed in 2016.
Yeah.
While Paddy Lowe and James Allison were with their previous teams.
Yeah.
Don't forget, James Allison left Ferrari
Although I was going to say the Ferraris probably wouldn't have had as much James Allison.
It wouldn't have had the Allison development, but that car when it hit.
But the basic concept was a James Allison car.
Yeah.
I get you on that.
So I don't. I mean, we always go on about how good James Allison was because of his role in Lotus when they were winning races, but he's still yet to win championships with something he's designed.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, this is the first James Allison Mercedes. And I can't remember the name of the guy. They bought the aero guy, and didn't they, at Ferrari to oversee the whole.
Yeah, they did. I remember saying at the time it was weird because he's not an engineer, but he's going to be running the engineering department.
Yeah. So it's his first. It's not Aldo Costa. No, he's Mercedes, isn't he?
Yeah. Then again, there is a chance that the Mercedes is just sandbagging because isn't the rumours that their engine this year is going to be the first 1,000 horsepower Formula One engine?
That has been mentioned. But there would have been somewhere where we could have asked somebody from the Mercedes technical team.
Yes.
Are you guys sandbagging?
Or bag sanding? Which it kind of looks like going towards the rear end of the field, because I mean the middle does look, as we predicted, really, really close. Mm-hmm. Red Bull, Renault, Force India, Williams, McLaren. What does appear to be is the three teams towards the back, pace-wise at least anyway. Haas, Toro Rosso and Sauber. But I think Toro Rosso may not be going for outright pace and just looking at the reliability of their new Honda engine.
I think that's the only thing they could do in the first test.
Call me cray-cray, but I think...
what, the Cray twins?
Yeah, Toro Rosso will be further towards the front and Force India will be further towards the back.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, that Force India does look an awful lot like the 2017 car, doesn't it?
Had a good year last year, loads of development. I bet that car was behind.
We'll see.
I mean, I don't know what we can take from the fastest laps that the teams did, but I don't think Mercedes was sandbagging because they had the fastest lap overall in the first session, and that was done on medium tyres.
Yeah, they were fastest on... Hamilton was the fastest driver in the first test, as you say, on medium tyres. Was Vettel on super softs, the second fastest?
No, he was on softs.
Softs.
But you got down to the bottom half, and you've got 5 teams on soft tyres. Renault 120.5, Williams 121.1, Toro Rosso 121.3, Force India 121.8, and Sauber 122.7. All on the soft tyres. I think that says Force India could well be slow.
They had a weight problem, didn't they, at the beginning of 2017, which they sorted out quite swiftly.
Yeah.
So, who knows? I mean, since we've been doing this podcast, basically, we've said Force India in trouble, and then been shaking our heads and sucking through our teeth. Right. Force India.
Hang on.
They surprised us and finished fourth.
Let's get this
2
right.
years in a row.
3 years ago, Force India.
They're going to go bust before the end of the season.
They're going to go bust before the end of the season. They might not even make the full testing schedule.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'm not saying
Two-
this is fact.
Yeah,
No,
two,
no, no, of
two
course.
years ago,
Of
Force
course.
India brought the previous year's car to the test because the new one wasn't ready.
Yeah.
So they were obviously in trouble.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Last year, bloody hell, that Force India looks like it's been made out of oversized Lego bricks. They're really going to struggle.
And now it's coloured blancmange.
Yeah.
What are they playing at?
Yeah.
Oh, they've retained fourth.
Yeah. Williams has got a weight issue this year. Altogether, both the drivers are about 20 stone.
But yeah, the testing schedule. We had to tell more by the end of the second test if the weather behaves itself.
Yeah, I hope so.
No beast from the east to worry about this time round. No super cold air sweeping into Europe from Siberia and the Arctic.
I tell you what worries me is the fact that you've got 3 engines per driver this year,
Yeah.
and yet, I mean, did any teams break 100 laps in the first day?
Yes.
Did
Danny
they?
Ricciardo
Danny
did
Ricciardo.
105 laps on the first
But
day.
there didn't seem to be any of that fucking relentless Mercedes pounding
No.
around the
No,
circuit.
that's what Dan was saying last week, and also just before as well, about they 157 laps and then 142 the year before.
Yeah, I'd argue that. I mean, in my professional opinion as a painter and decorator, I would argue that reliability is going to win a championship this year.
Yeah, but maybe that's James Allison's car's testing program. We don't need to do all of the laps. We just need to do. We need to make this. You know, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
They could be planning, let's write off a couple of races as we're going to score no points in them.
I mean, on the same subject, Renault have already said that they're going to be looking at strategic grid penalties during the year.
It's fucking
Yeah.
ridiculous, isn't it? This isn't racing.
No,
No, it isn't.
No, it isn't. And this 3, as you were just saying, then this 3 power unit per driver rule is.
It's not in the spirit of Formula One. I think that's the issue.
I think
I've
what
got
you'll
with it.
find, what you'll find is that the teams have developed the engines, or rather, the engine manufacturers have developed the engines to be able to produce an awful lot more power.
Yeah.
But they'll be turned down to look after, to be looked after rather than be turned right up, and going at full whack. And I don't even think we'll see the likes of a Lewis Hamilton style Brazil race. When he was basically let off the leash and he finished like 4 or 5 seconds behind the eventual winner.
Although you could do, and you could get the grid being a bit mixed up because people have got their engines, they've come to the end of their predicted life. Okay, go for it and just race.
Here you go, though. Right, think of this. First corner, Australia. Someone goes slap bang into the back of Hamilton or Vettel. Now, already with grid penalties coming,
Yeah.
you could be looking at the situation where all of a sudden it's not like that one engine getting taken out at that point of the season takes somebody out of the championship.
Leaving them with 2 engines
Yeah.
for the rest of
The season.
for the whole season.
Yeah. Do you know what? Do you know what might not be a bad call, especially for the teams who are going to be struggling towards the back end? Maybe somebody like Renault or someone like Toro Rosso, for example, might not be a terrible idea if they go first race in Australia. We're going to change that power unit. Why? Because we're going to change one for every session, and we're going to put a new one in the back for the first and the second race of the season.
But haven't they got rules that fuck this whole idea of getting engines in the pool now?
I think they have.
Yeah. You can't-
I don't think that's a thing.
Yeah, if you change engines twice during the course of a race weekend, only the last
one.
one you put in counts.
Yeah.
Ah, right, okay. So they can't just take all the engine penalties in Australia and be like, we've got 16 engines.
No.
Because that would be against the spirit of the rules.
Yeah.
But also wouldn't totally blame anyone for doing it.
No.
So yeah, it's a catch-22 really, isn't it? Sort of when do you decide to do it? Do you just take the brunt of the rules as and when they come? If you do get a blow up and you've got to change engines mid session or mid-weekend, do you take the brunt of that then, or do you wait until after the? Do you try and do what Mercedes did and try and do it strategically?
I'm I'm sure they will have run the numbers on having the engines not blow up for the season and
Having the engine to blow up.
using more than they should,
Yeah.
and have decided what they're going to do, or have a rough idea of what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I suppose it's going to be they'll have points in the season where even if it's not like an engine thing, like component changes, sort of well, look, we know if we're Mercedes, we're probably going to spank Monza, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can probably afford to start 10th in Monza.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
no,
it's odd though, isn't it? This whole
It is odd.
this whole grid penalty system.
but it doesn't put like. I think that's the sort of thing that puts off, like the casual like Sunday afternoon Formula One fan. That is what Formula One is missing. You know, that's what they're desperately trying to get back. Is
It's the guy who sits down, puts his TV on, and goes, "Oh, Formula
Formula
on."
One's on.
Yeah.
Because they've got us. Like, if you're listening to this anyway, it doesn't matter what they do. You are the abused spouse of Formula One.
Yeah, and you might be sitting next to or close to somebody who you know watches Formula One casually.
Yeah.
That's who Formula One should be trying to get to watch the sport all the time.
The people who might watch it while they're eating their Sunday lunch, but
Can't find anything.
but
to
wouldn't
watch.
sit to the end of the race unless it was
Yeah.
really exciting.
Or if there's enough people interested on, so all of a sudden have it on in a pub. You know,
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
more eyes on. But I think this is the sort of thing that turns people off. That
Yeah, that's a whole different argument which we can come to a little bit later on.
I probably will.
We'll do that during the summer break when we've got less to talk about.
Yeah.
All right, next thing we've got down here is McLaren joins the F1 board.
Yeah, the board of Formula One has many representatives on board, on the board, and McLaren have actually finally joined after they're the third manufacturer to join the board after Ferrari, who've been on the board for many years, and Daimler, who of course own Mercedes.
Now, it seems weird to me that some of the teams can be on the board.
Yeah.
Surely it should either be
All
all
or
of
none.
them or
Well,
none of
yeah.
them.
That's what Formula One, I think, as Liberty's vision was, that all the teams would have their share in Formula One and would also be on the board as well. So I think that it's their idea. Don't know how quickly they could roll it out, but so that every team, or at least some part of an interested party of every team, like Mercedes engined teams, for example, being represented by Daimler, are on the board.
I know what happened. One of the Daimler representatives was talking to Eric Boulier, and Eric said, "Where are you going, Mr. Daimler?" And he said, "I'm going to go to the lunch for the Formula One management group meeting." And he said, "Oh, a lunch, you say?"
I'm a Formula One manager.
And I like to lunch.
Now, apparently, Bernie have been trying to get him on there since 2012.
Right, and
it's
Ron said no.
And Ron was basically saying no. Bernie's quote...
Don't run. Don't run.
Bernie's quote from 2014 was, McLaren could have a director if they made their mind up.
Ah, okay.
Now, that's from 4 years ago. That was a slight dig at Ron falling out with the other major shareholders in McLaren.
At the time,
That worked well for him.
Yeah. And...
How you liking that orange car, Ron?
And now it would appear that McLaren's representative on the Formula One board is Mohammed bin Essa Al Khalifa, who represents the Bahraini interest in the team.
Yeah. Hey, do you know what? If Ron's listening, how does it make you feel that Lee has been in the McLaren Technology Centre?
Once more than you this year.
And how impressed were you with the decorating?
Not very.
In your professional opinion?
I can actually give a professional here. I thought it was pretty fucking shabby in places, to be perfectly honest.
Maybe that was deliberate.
And here's us thinking that McLaren's F1 board was that little carbon fibre spacer they used to separate the chairs.
Yeah, so you're trying to say that McLaren letting their decorating go down a little bit was the building equivalent of a politician rolling his sleeves up?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. Ron's gone now. Just slap it on wherever. It's fine.
Obviously, I think this is going to be a good thing for McLaren because they will get they'll probably get the voice heard a little bit better.
It proves that they are still a keystone of Formula One. Because we were worried for a while that, if the whole McLaren Renault thing doesn't work out, could they become like a Brabham and just
Tyrrell,
vanish off the face of the earth, which would be a mild disaster, let's be honest, at best. So, it proves that Formula One, as they are now, FOM, if you will, are keen to hold on to the teams that they've got, as well as, they've got to build the grid up as well to invite new teams in.
Speaking of teams and advertising and stuff like that, I didn't realise that Williams will lose the Martini sponsorship this year.
Yes.
Yeah, that got announced last week, didn't it?
Yeah, they are going. Now, apparently it's not bringing huge amounts of money into the team, but it was more the credibility and
The Martini sponsorship.
the Martini sponsorship and, the logo looks cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Williams are going to have to go for something a little bit newer for a title sponsor.
And it's going to have to be a big title sponsor because that Martini covers that car.
And it can't be Tommy Hilfiger because they've just gone to Mercedes.
Well, I mean, realistically, Williams, when you look at the car, aren't doing too badly for like advertising. When you look at some of the other ones, the fact that there's fucking massive amounts of free space on a Ferrari is mental.
Well, there is at the moment.
And I find it ironic that it's Williams that have got the JCB sponsorship and McLaren are the ones that have used the industrial equipment to lift the car up and put it on a flatbed more than any other team.
Yeah.
McLaren might have had the testing thing for it and practice sessions and stuff, but Stroll's done his part. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, but it'd be interesting to see what classic livery they might go for next, man. Like the Gulf Oils one, the powder blue and bright orange. That would be an interesting one to go with.
No, because that'd look too much like the McLaren.
No, it'd be powder blue mainly.
No,
with
bring back
bright orange.
bring back the white and green from the old Saudia days.
Yeah, that would the Fly Saudia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it was the Saudia Leyland Williams powered by Ford.
Oh, good lord.
I'd like to see Winfield back on it.
That's cigarettes, though, isn't it? That's the thing. That's the problem. No
I
cigarettes.
liked the red Williams.
I think it was
When I used to smoke Camel, so it had to be the blue and yellow one for me.
yeah.
And I only ever used ICI chemicals.
And took photos with my Canon camera.
I have a Canon photograph machine.
Yes. Canon photograph. Good lord, words failed me.
That's not good based on what you're doing at the moment.
No, podcasting.
Chemical news. I think ICI were brought up by Asben Noble. Carry on.
I went to one of the ICI chemical plants on a school trip in the 80s, one where they made cow food.
Wow.
Out of chemicals.
Yes.
Yay, mad cow disease.
Yeah, and you wonder why people sort of started turning vegetarian more towards the end of the 80s because they were concerned about what they were putting in their body. And I went to this place with like lots of chimneys and pipes and fires and flames all over the place. And so, what do you make
And
here?
out came a steak when they poured all these fluids into a machine.
Yeah, like, and what do you make here? Cow food.
Okay, then.
Lettuce sandwich, please.
Well, if that worries you, you don't want to go to the cow factory next door.
Where we make the cows that we feed. Anyway,
we need an energy boost. And apparently Force India are getting one in the next week. See what I did there?
yes, very good. Rich Energy, anyone?
I'm on their website. It's got a very flashy video.
Rich Energy?
Yeah. I have never seen...
Lee, Rich Energy? No?
I've never heard.
I've never
I
seen
didn't know
or
what you were
heard of
talking
them.
about
Dan?
before when you said
Not heard of them, but if
No.
you're going to launch a product, have they launched a product yet, or are they trying to launch one?
They've got a website with a performance car on it, but they are an energy drink. They are a premium and innovative British energy drink.
Who are apparently buying Force India.
Allegedly
maybe,
so.
Or being a title sponsor or something.
That
Well, it's a the article, which I will say was in the Daily Express, states that it's a £200 million buyout essentially of the team, so that they will own Force India. Now we've spoken about Force India trying to offload the name Force India, trying to offload Vijay Mallya in particular, trying to offload the team onto somebody else financially. But do you remember Genie Capital, who owned Lotus? We
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
know. We didn't know who they were. They had their name on the car for a bit, and then they decided, "Whoa, this is a bit bit too much, this. Formula One's expensive.
The Germans sold the power plant back to Mr. Burns.
Exactly, yeah, thank you very much.
It's what's more formally known as pulling a Richard Branson.
Yeah, this is a good idea. This is good fun. It's lots of money, but I'm sure we can handle it. Oh God, we can't handle it. Get out quick. I worry if this is, it's not exactly an established brand that Force India are considering.
No,
standing
but
out to,
when
is
you
it?
look at the partners on their website, there's a lot of motorsport shenanigans on there, like Pirelli, Ultima Sports, Santander. Jensen's coming back.
The West Ham women's football team.
The BBC. It's
But yeah,
strange.
anyway, we're looking through a website whilst we're actually
No, it's
podcasting.
it's not a good move.
Not great for the people who are listening. But the important point is that Force India might not be Force India even by the start of the season, despite the fact their entry and livery has already been put together.
Well, I mean, they did say when they launched the car, and we did talk about this last week. I mean, there's no Force India branding anywhere around the garage, and it's just got the
It's just says anime characters.
yeah, it just says VJM11, and I mean, Otmar Schnafneuer has basically said there could be a name change before the first Grand Prix.
And remember, we said I saw him in a suit at the launch of the
Yeah.
car. Didn't recognise him. Never
Tell you
seen him in a
what.
suit before.
It's cheap. You can buy 24 individual cans.
Of rich energy.
Yeah, I don't know what a multiple can would be, but it states individual cans for £20.
You can buy a pallet of 108 cases of 24 cans for £2,160.
But
No, we can't.
Again.
We can't buy them.
what?
We can't buy them.
Why?
UK mainland only.
Oh well.
Again, looking through a website whilst we're podcasting and talking about what's on the website might not be great.
If people go and Google it, though, if people go and Google the Rich Energy drink while
yeah.
they're listening, because the can is fucking cool and the logo's cool.
So if the car looks like that,
Yeah.
It's the first time I've seen an energy drink in a presentation box, and you can also buy it with a presentation vial of gold leaf vodka.
but please tell me, are they going to be the rich F1 team?
No, I don't think so. I
No,
don't-
but would that be their name? We are the rich F1 because it's like a black can with like gold flecks, isn't it?
Yeah.
and sort of the.
And some kind, it's either
If
some kind
they
of
end
wheat-
up as JPS colours, that'll be amazing.
It'll be similar. It won't be far off, will it?
and then all it'll need is the Genie Capital
No,
logo written down.
no. Stop it now. Tony Fernandez wants his cater room back.
You've got to wonder when a brand that sort of positioning itself as something premium before it's even launched properly is buying into F1. This could all go very south very quickly.
yeah.
That was my worry. I don't know that, if it was Coca-Cola, for example, fine. Monster Energy even, which is that affiliated with Coca-Cola or is it?
No, it's Relentless that's the Coca-Cola
Right,
energy drink.
yeah.
Monster is the Monster beverage company.
And
Yeah.
Burns Coca-Cola as well.
I think, that's Japanese Relentless, isn't it?
No, you can get Burn in Europe. It kept me awake from 2:30 in the afternoon till 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, but I think that was launched by the Japanese end of Coca-Cola, like
Right,
Fanta
okay.
was launched by the German end of Coca-Cola.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So, yeah, but again, well-established drink brands that you go, oh right, okay. For example, the Monster Energy, like Force India team. Yeah, I'd be into that. That sounds.
Yeah.
That's like a rival to Red Bull, then, isn't it? Mm-hmm. That sounds like it could be interesting. Rich Energy. I mean, they could make us eat our words, but at the moment, it does seem a little bit.
I mean-
it seems risky. Put it that way.
We could be talking about something that isn't going to happen anyway, and
Oh, yeah.
they might not be buying the team. They might just be sponsoring it. Next thing is they've just got a little logo on the car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because there's already sponsorship on the car. They have sponsorship in place.
Yeah.
That can't disappear overnight. You wouldn't have thought.
unless the team has taken over.
I must admit, without the water sponsor, there's no need for that car to be pink anymore.
It's still got the BWT sponsorship.
Oh,
on
is it? Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what's making it pink.
Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't realise. I didn't think they had the sponsorship.
Yeah, I'm just worried that we're getting with this we could be getting arrows all over again with the whole T minus thing. with, as Sean Kelly called him on Twitter the other week, the Nigerian nutter, who claimed to have the money. The logos appeared on the car. Nobody ever actually saw the product, and I think he ended up going to prison, and the team went down because the money didn't exist.
Is that when it was TWR Arrows?
Yeah,
And Tom Walt-
it was the very end of Arrows.
Yeah.
But basically, one iffy sponsorship deal killed that entire team off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't really blame if he's sponsoring that situation, though, can you? It's more the
Well, the team were desperate for money, and they got told that this is a sponsorship deal, and the money never came through. And this guy was meant to be buying into the team. If I was Force India, there'd be double due diligence going on in my world. If this is the case of what's happening, even if it's just a sponsorship deal. The way to launch a brand new brand, I would say, wouldn't be on a Formula One car these days.
No, it's
especially a British brand.
quite old school, isn't it?
Yeah, but especially a British brand where Formula One is going to be literally like pay to view now on British television.
Yeah, it's old school.
Surely that's
which
not a
means
good
that,
business move.
it's brave, and it's also, as I said before, risky. I think it's risky anyway, but the car might look amazing.
Yeah, how many viewers did we say watched Formula One on British television last year on Sky?
600,000.
600,000.
So 3 million in total, including the
Including Channel 4, it's 3 million.
Yeah, but we haven't got Channel 4 this year, do we? Apart from the British Grand Prix.
No, we've got Channel 4 this year. It's next year we don't have Channel 4.
Oh right, fuck! I thought it was just. I didn't think there was Channel 4 this year. All right, it's okay. As you were, Rich. Carry on.
And we can just hear you deflating.
There you go. It's my sound effect for you.
Right, okay. I could have put that in post-production.
Yeah, but you didn't.
Well, I didn't need to. I'm not going to will have needed to
Exactly.
later.
Anyway, by the time that people listen to this podcast, that news could have all been done and dusted because
It'll happen on Tuesday.
It will.
Morning.
Yeah, it's going to happen on... No. It'll happen on Tuesday afternoon, just after the podcast goes up. If it happens on Tuesday morning,
Oh, you can fix it.
I've still got the little voiceover set up that I can do.
Do you know what would be quite cool if Force India do get taken over within the next week? So you might see the return of the drivers' individual helmets instead of being pinkified, because Esteban Ocon's helmet design is actually really cool, like an old black and red sort of.
Yeah.
I know a lot of drivers have gone for like the retro design, but before they were going retro design, Ocon already had quite a retro design, and then Force India went pink.
See, apparently him and Perez don't get on.
But they're not.
No, there was an interview with Perez.
Who'd have thought?
They wouldn't be interviewed together last year, would they?
When he was asked, like, do you get on, like, do you just get on well together, or is there a problem? And he'd only say, "Oh, let me put it this way: I don't send flowers to him."
Well, I don't send flowers to Dan, but I quite like him.
I send flowers to all of you.
Next time, can you make sure that they're still alive, please? With the heads attached.
I can't do that, and we on them.
Oh dear.
Oh, God. Moving swiftly on again. Part 2, moving swifter. Engine parity.
Yes.
Now, Clive Williams has denied suggestions that Williams, the team, were behind getting the FIA to clamp down on the parity rules.
Well, it's a bit of a meek clampdown, isn't it? It's left open quite a large loophole.
Please don't do... Oh, you have? Okay.
Well, the rule has always been there, hasn't it?
Sorry, I just turned it to salad fingers for a second then.
Oh dear.
Carry on, Chris, with your rusty spoons.
Oh no! Just don't start stroking the microphone. No, I said don't. But the
I like the feel of a pop shield.
For people that
That's me
don't know,
deflating.
if the people that aren't hipsters, they wouldn't know who Salad Fingers was.
It was funny 15 years ago.
But the rule has always been in place, hasn't it? That the engine suppliers have to give the customer teams the same hardware and software that they use in the big boy teams.
Yeah.
So this isn't something new, although the FIA have had to sort of clarify a couple of things in the rules.
Yeah, because there were stories from last year about teams running Mercedes engines who were up with a chance of winning suddenly getting told, well, you can enable this secret mode.
Yeah, wasn't it Force India had a mystery mode for qualifying that they got to use once and never again?
Yes.
Yeah, of course, because there will be Mercedes engineers that work at Force India and Williams, much as there will be Renault Tag Heuer engineers that work at Red Bull and also this season at McLaren.
And no Honda engineers that were working at McLaren because they wanted to do everything in Japan by remote control.
Yeah,
I love the idea of Toto running down the pit lane to go and put his password in, and Claire Williams stood behind and going, "Toto, it's Africa, isn't it?"
But the yeah, do you remember the fallout between Toro Rosso and Renault before the end of last season?
The one where there was nearly a fight in the pit lane between French Toast and
yeah.
Cyril Abiteboul.
Yeah.
Yeah, he nearly beat a bull.
Yeah, he did nearly, literally.
I'd have gone with Cyril almost beat the fool.
Well, no, BT Bull, Toro, Red Bull. No.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sod the lot of you. I'm good. Somebody back me up. Tweet me if you enjoyed that one.
Nope. It's
Carry on talking, for God's sake. For one of you, carry on talking.
And nobody poses the podcast to go to their Twitter app.
But yeah, the fight that Renault and Toro Rosso were having, obviously Toro Rosso last season were a customer of Renault, and Franz Tost was adamant that Renault were giving Toro Rosso crap spare parts, basically, to
Yeah, what was
keep
it?
them
What
out
was
of
the actual
running.
quote? It was something like they've got them from the bins at the back of the garage. It was something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Basically, bits that they refurbished rather than brand new, and it all got a bit dark and a little bit stormy to the point where Red Bull chief had to step in and say, "Whoa, hang on a second."
I mean, for once, it was actually Helmut Marko trying to stop a fight instead of sort of causing one.
And he made sense as well with what he was saying, because shouting about it, as frustrating as it probably was, shouting about it was not the right way to go.
A la Red Bull.
Yeah, but do you remember? I just want to go back to like sort of 2012, 2013 maybe.
Don't we all?
No, not really. But the
I was younger. and
qualifying
happy then.
mode that Red Bull had. Do you remember? Red Bull definitely had a qualifying mode before the V6 hybrid era, when the old V8s. Red Bull had that.
Yeah, when they were locking front rows out for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't even matter if they were 4/10 down at the end of the first run at the last part of qualifying.
Yeah.
First run. But by the time the last run came around, they were there. They were a second quicker. It didn't matter. They were. You knew it was going to be a Red Bull on
Yeah.
pole.
This is what I still find fucking amazing that people write Renault off.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So there has always been, and at the time, Red Bull were a de facto Renault team. So let's not pretend that this hasn't happened in the past, and let's not pretend that Formula One teams aren't clever enough not to find ways and means and ways around things.
I also
And
think
there
it's
will be-
impossible. It's impossible to give complete parity to all the teams.
Which, yeah, because in that case, you're lending yourself towards Formula Chris,
Yeah.
which is allow everyone to see everything that you can do, and not just between engine manufacturers.
Formula
that you share,
Voyeur.
and Formula Voyeur. Everyone can see your blueprints. They go up on like a Formula One intranet, if you will.
Yeah.
Anyone who works in the senior management for all these teams can look at the blueprints of, the Sauber team can look at the Haas if they want to, and you can look at anyone. You can look at Ferrari and
And then John Todd's
Mercedes
assistant
and-
prints them off for him every morning.
Yeah, so he can read them.
Fucking stick them out to the public. We'll make it Formula Linux.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Formula Web Link. But the yeah, and that's never going to happen. But it should happen, but it's never going to happen. You either go full blueprint or not at all.
You never go full blueprint.
Never go full blueprint. But the mode, there are going to be modes that teams will know about. Engine manufacturers in particular will know about that maybe some of the teams don't know about. That's just going to be the way it is. And it's
I think in the Force India case, what Mercedes said was there was some weather conditions that meant that the cool air going over the engine was more than normal for the Force India. So they could actually turn this mode on without risking the engine. And
Yeah.
under normal circumstances,
They wouldn't be
couldn't.
able to, which is a perfectly
Whereas
reasonable engineer's explanation.
the Mercedes has the airflow over the engine normally to be able to,
Regardless
use
of the weather
Yeah.
conditions. But I've lost the point I was trying to make then. But but the software
It's at the back of the garage with all the Renault spares.
yeah, probably wasn't been put in the bin for McLaren this year. But the software that they use, because all right, they have to use the same software and they have to use the same hardware. The customer teams and the manufacturers
Yeah.
doesn't mean they have to use them in the same way.
And it also doesn't mean they've got the same eyes looking at them.
No.
Do you know what I mean? You can give me the same fucking software and hardware as Eno. I'm not going to do the same job.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that the manufacturer teams are going to have a better handle on how their engine performs, both physically and with the software control.
Of course, because they built them.
They're the ones that designed it.
yeah.
They're going to be used to it. They built it from the ground up for them. The customer teams are that, just customers. Okay, here's your engine, here's your software, here's your instruction manual, here's the number for support. I know that's simplifying it quite a lot, but basically that's what the customer teams are.
Yeah. I mean, if you
Trying
want
to
to
say
get
there's some sort of customers.
if you want to get closer to engine sort of parity, sort of like a transparity, if you will, then
I don't agree with that sort of thing.
move the transparent engines, move the engineers around. So, for example, if we are Renault and I work at Renault main team, Paul, you go to McLaren to help them with their engine. Dan, you go to the other team to help them with their engine, the Tag Heuer ones, you know.
Yep.
And then Lee, you're just an observer for this particular race.
But I can break engines too.
Why do you think we weren't allowed within 30 feet of a car at McLaren?
3 or 4 races into the season, right? Dan, you're the observer now. Lee, you're going to Red Bull to watch that Tag
Oh,
Heuer
now
engine.
you want me?
Yeah, and then Dan's going to be an observer for a little while, and then a couple of races later, Paul, you swap with Dan, you swap with Lee.
Yeah, but then we're getting back into Formula Chris as well again there, because what's to stop the mechanics from telling the new team that they've gone to how the team that they were at previously
Exactly.
deal with things or do things?
Exactly.
And just things like building up working relationships and clashes of personality, or the opposite to a clash of personality, people just getting on better.
Yeah.
I'm not going to trust this guy because he's going to our rivals in 4 races' time. Sod that.
Yeah, I suppose there is that point.
Or just, I want this engineer back. He worked really well with the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, and then you get lucky engineers, wouldn't you? Like Sebastian Vettel and his lucky gloves. And I have to wear these gloves for this race. Yeah, they're only lucky until they don't work.
Yeah, helmets stop being lucky for him once you want to race in them.
Yeah, exactly. So we changed them. What's the point in that?
Because he saw all those sweet Valentino Rossi ducats
Yeah.
that were being made.
None of his helmets were as inventive or as brilliant as Rossi's, though. Let's be
Or in the
honest.
case of the one where it was Rossi's face on the top of the helmet with his tongue sticking out, bloody terrifying when you see somebody riding towards you with their head down.
Yeah.
And they're coming
Which
that,
was funny. That
They're
was
coming
hilarious.
that fast at you. You're not entirely sure if they're not wearing a helmet.
Yeah, it was it Davizioso who said, "I wish he'd change his helmet because I check in my mirrors when I go around corners." I said, when I'm backed over into a corner and I check my inside mirror and all I see is Rossi's face staring at me."
I've kind of seen that for real because there was somebody riding down my road one day pretty quickly with one of those helmets on with his head down.
Oh, you can buy it. Yeah.
And it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Right, next thing we've got on here, the poll that we ran on Facebook.
Yeah, if you took part in it, thank you very much. It was just a quick thing to sort of
224 of you did.
yes,
Um,
just to gauge interest and sort of gauge what the general reaction was, really, just from the people on our social media pages, really.
and it would appear that 68% of people have said yes, they will be signing up.
For F1 TV,
Yes.
the subscription service, because subscription only service.
Yeah, the one that we don't get to see in the UK.
Well,
Legally.
Well, not the live stuff anyway.
Not the live stuff. Apparently, there will be archive stuff and timing and whatever available. It'll be kind of an enhanced version of the F1 Plus service that you get on the website, on the app, and the live timing screens that you get during the race.
Yeah, I mean, it's promising uninterrupted coverage, and most of the feedback that we got from people who were, responding in the comments were saying that if it's uninterrupted, I'll sign up because it's worth me paying, the extra dollars to not have my race interrupted.
I think basically the most comments we got on that score was no adverts. Here's my money.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd also like to throw out there, just in case, that if there's anyone listening from Tunnel Bear, that well-known, well-regarded VPN software, then we're open for advertisements.
But yeah, I mean, VPN is
Tunnel Bear, it really does sound like a kid's book,
It
children's
does,
book.
but it's a really good one. It's really good. It's really easy to use. And they sponsor loads of YouTube stuff.
What, do you get to see Spot run?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway. So 68% of the people saying that they will be interested and will potentially sign up for it. The other answer on the poll was no, I think this is bad for F1.
Which is 32%, which let's face it, most of the people that said no were British.
Yeah, most people that said no were British, and some of them were agreeing with what we were saying last week about the lack of new eyes. That will make it incredibly difficult to put new eyes on the sport, even though Sean Bratches has come out and said, we're working really hard with the TV channels to put, to attract new customers, new viewers to the sport. It's still going to be really difficult for them to make that step. Basically, are you interested in this? Oh, you don't know whether you're interested in it. Well, give me some money and I'll tell you whether or not you're interested in it. That's the sticking point, I think that they'll find with a lot of...
It's like that with everything, isn't it? If they'll see a massive uptake at first, then they'll see a massive drop off again.
Yep.
Then it'll stabilize. But to get new eyes on it, they need to sort the product out. Because the only way people are they're gonna get new audience members is by me going, did you see the race? It was fucking amazing.
Yeah. What we were saying before about people the listener who's probably sat with somebody or near somebody or know somebody who will casually watch Formula One.
Yeah.
When it's on, the race is on, whatever, I'll sit down and watch this, and then if it's boring after 10 minutes, they might switch it off.
Yeah.
But the product itself has to be, that has to be refined to a point where the casual watcher starts watching and goes, well, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I kind of understand what's going on, like instantly, rather than like, well, what's all these pink, orange, yellow tires? I don't understand. Why is that guy doing this? What's that number mean? Help! I'm switching this off. Too much science.
General public do not need to know what compound the tyres are. They just need to know that there is a medium and a soft and a hard. And regardless, everything else that drift around, what type of hard, what type of tyre the hard tyre is, doesn't matter. If it's the hard tyre and you've only got softs and super softs, then the medium tyre is the hard tyre. And it's just an easier way for everybody.
Yeah, that's clarified things, Lee.
Well, no, I kind of get what Lee's saying.
Yeah, no.
Because if you like the free to air races, which are not going to be few and far between now, free to air races just had quite basic, graphics, and then the subscription service or the pay TV did have the full graphics package. That might bring in some more viewers. But to go straight ahead with the full graphics package on the free to air thing, and it's I don't know what's this Hypersoft? I don't know what's with all the different.
I mean,
colours?
as for the graphics package, I don't know if it makes it easier to follow. Like
I think it makes it easier for existing fans to follow. I don't think.
Well, I don't know because there's a whole new graphics package coming in this year, so it might be that's been designed with new and existing viewers in mind.
Yeah, I hope it's more in line with what MotoGP use.
And IndyCar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
IndyCar graphics are actually really easy to understand. I don't watch an awful lot of IndyCar, but I can follow IndyCar graphics.
First race is this weekend.
Well, there you go.
I'll be missing it.
Once again, I'd like to applaud Formula E as well. I didn't realise when the race was actually on, but but all the stuff hit social media about 2 hours after the race had finished. Another well done campaign from Formula E.
Remarketing required, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm saying nothing. I'd forgotten completely it was on as well. And
It was a Mexico City one, wasn't it? Which was the second Mexico City race in like 3 months.
Think so, yeah.
Mexico to Mexico harder.
This time we're Mexican.
Didn't they go to Mexico just after Formula One was there, or just before Formula One was there?
Yeah,
I
but that
think
was
so.
last,
That
that
would
was
have been
last
last
season.
Yeah. Remember that the Formula E season
Yeah.
spans over 2 calendar years.
You're
Yes, I
thinking
know,
of
but-
Tex-Mex with a Vengeance.
No, I'm not. But which is a great name for a movie, by the way. But the
Good day to chili hard.
You should have pulled up there. That was...
I'm sure at Mexico 2017, Formula E was there like 2 weeks before that, and we're only early into 2018 now, and they've just gone back there. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. It can't have been a year ago already, can it? That Mexico, because they use part of the Formula One circuit, don't they?
They have made changes to the calendar again.
Yeah.
But
Right. Last year's Mexico E-Prix was the 1st of April. In the 2016-17 season.
so it was nearly a year ago. That's mental. Doesn't feel like it was at all. I thought it was literally like a couple of weeks before the Formula One race was there.
I hate this whole split year championship thing.
That's not helping them either, is it?
No.
Because it makes
No.
it more difficult to follow.
Yeah.
The fact that it's over 2 years.
At least with the current Formula E season, there was only 2 races in one location last year. And they were at the
Well, it's
start of
like-
December in Hong Kong.
But isn't WEC bookended by Le Mans over 2 years this season?
It's an 18-month season this time, and then it's going to be a 12-month.
Is that the super season or whatever
Yeah.
they called it?
Yeah.
WEC, easy for me to say, is fucking dead, I'm afraid.
It had a good run in about
Did
4
have
or
a
5
good-
years ago.
And when it was at its peak, that's when they should have gone with that splinter idea and turned it into a sports car championship and ran race weekends like Formula One
a sprint and
without it being an endurance championship.
yeah, with a sprint race and an endurance race. Yeah.
But this is like the money that they were putting in that you can't. I mean, I might be wrong. I'm probably not wrong. The money that the teams were putting in to make those cars, because they are just essentially closed fucking Formula One cars now, aren't they? You can't put that amount of cash in when there isn't that amount of eyes on it. You know, it's no one's sitting down to watch a full
6 hours of Spa.
6 hours of Spa, and that means that if you can't be bothered doing that, then you're probably not going to watch 2 hours. You're probably not going to tune in just for the last hour, because what's the fucking point in that?
The race is almost done by then.
Yeah,
I don't know if you got Eurosport, then you get the first 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes.
yeah, but
And anyone that's thinking of volunteering me to live blog a WEC race, can you just listen to what Lee's got to say? And you don't sit down and watch a full World Endurance Championship race.
No.
but yeah, it's
Unless the
It was a
Patreon
shame.
hits a certain amount of money.
yeah.
We'll talk about that closer to
a
London.
lot more money.
Yeah. Right. Oh.
Yeah, we've got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Talking of Formula E and other
Yes.
championships.
Chris, who wrote the running order, labelled this one, Where in the World is Carmen Jorda's Ego?
Yes. I thought it was a good pun.
It was. And I said it's in Santiago.
Yeah. Carmen Jorda's not done herself any favours, has she, by saying that women should aim...
But by saying anything for the last few months.
Well, she's official FIA women's representative.
Mm-hmm.
But she's said that women should aim for Formula E because it's
less challenging.
less challenging than getting to Formula One. Now, she has since, in the last couple of hours, clarified her comments by saying that she meant that the downforces were less physically demanding in Formula E than they are in Formula One, because she's recently just tested a Formula E car.
Yeah.
And she thinks that the physicality of Formula E could suit women better.
Yeah.
However, that's caused a little bit more of a storm, because people are saying, well, you're seeing like Formula One drivers getting out of their cars and hardly breaking a sweat most of
Yeah.
the time. don't try and tell me that women can't cope with that physicality when it's not the sport is not as physically brutal as it was 10, 15, 20 years ago.
No, but it is
we
more
were seeing-
demanding now than it has been for a while.
Yeah, but when we were seeing drivers getting out and they were sweating, you know, they literally pushed themselves to like a physical limit. They don't.
There was a time when they could barely get out of the car. Sort of Mansell era.
Mansell collapsing,
Yeah.
pushing his car over the line in Dallas.
I would argue.
That was mid 80s. We're talking like 30 something years ago now.
Yeah, I would argue that I think Michael Schumacher was the first super athlete in Formula One.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would argue that fair enough, the cars were probably more demanding to drive back then, but I think the drivers were a lot less fit
Yeah.
than they are now.
Mansell for his championship winning season in '92, when he moved from, weirdly enough, the Isle of Man to Florida pre-season to train, he lost like half a stone in weight and actually went into that season, even though he was like one of the older drivers at the time, like fitter than he'd ever been before going into a Formula One season.
Yeah.
And it showed he was able to cope with what were quite still physical demands of a car in the early '90s. You know, even when you know you go back, let's go back 12 years to when Alonso won his first world championship. You know, you're still getting drivers exhausted when we get out of the cars. You know, but you don't get that now. Hamilton gets out of the car. He brushes his hair to put his cap on.
And leaps up onto the podium.
Yeah, leaps up onto the podium. He's barely broken a sweat.
Yeah.
All right, okay, the drivers are a bit fitter than they were perhaps 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But the physicality of the sport is not I don't think it's a problem for women, and I agree with what Lee's response was.
Yeah, that's the main problem for me. I don't know, right? For what Carmen Jordan's saying, for all I know, could be true. You know what I mean? It might be difficult for a female driver to get to the physical point to do a whole Grand Prix. I'm not saying it would be. I'm just saying I don't know.
I think any formula that demands more physical strength
Yeah.
is going to be biased towards men who naturally have more physical strength.
Yeah.
But for God's sake, don't deny yourself the opportunity to push for
try.
that.
Exactly, yeah.
I think the problem I have is the fact that Formula One's two female representatives at the minute are, regardless of how many people like Susie Wolff, are still two failed drivers that tried to make it to Formula One. Two drivers that failed to get there, not because they were female, but because they weren't good enough. I think even back when, who was the Russian lady that had the accident and then she died, didn't she?
Oh, she was Maria Di Viotta.
Yeah, but she was where she was because she had a massive amount of Russian backing behind her. So she was the female Vitaly Petrov, wasn't she?
Possibly. She was driving for Marussia, but she was Spanish driver.
Oh, sorry, it must have been Spanish backing then.
But
Sorry.
she lost an eye, didn't she, in that testing accident with
But again,
the
I
team.
don't think she had the racing pedigree behind her to do it either. The problem is we will get Formula One drivers, the female Formula One drivers, and there's more girls getting into Formula One now. That's great, but we're talking about like young girls getting involved in karting and stuff. So we can't expect this to happen. I don't think for another 2 generations of driver.
Yeah, well, it's exactly what Susie Wolff's Dare to Be Different program's about, isn't it? Is trying to get more young girls and therefore women into motorsport, which is a good thing. I mean, absolutely push, like Dan said, push for the very highest you can achieve. It's the problem is that the Carmen Jordan has said that as you know, she's the FIA's women's representative, and she said, "Oh, you should maybe not push for the top because it's a bit too challenging."
Yeah.
Which is a crap attitude.
It's an awful attitude to have.
But
we will have
becoming Formula One world champion is really, really difficult, and the majority of people will never, ever achieve it. But you don't tell people don't bother trying because it's too hard. You
don't
say,
bother trying because you're a girl. Essentially, that's what she said.
This is the funny thing. People went fucking mental over the Grid Girl debacle, but nobody's turned around and said, like the whole reason she is in the position she's in is because she looks really good when she's doing it. That's the reason she has that job.
She has signed an awful lot of modelling contracts as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, it was a controversial appointment when she was made the women's representative for the FIA, and her comments have just
Not
not
made that any less
no,
controversial.
we will have in the future women in Formula One.
Yeah.
But I agree with what you said earlier, Lee, when you tweeted about it. In that not you don't have to get to Formula One just because or the sport shouldn't have to feel that they have to put a woman in Formula One because there's no women in Formula One. But when a woman is ready to come into Formula One, when this young girl has come up through the junior formula and has completely smashed every Formula Renault 3.5 or whatever it is, GP3, Formula 2, amazing, right? Get her into Formula 1, see what she could do in a car in Formula 1. We've never had that with a woman.
No.
And that's what...
Well, the likelihood is the next woman to make it into Formula One is not going to be a particularly great Formula One driver because the majority of people who make it into Formula One
not great
are not
Formula One drivers. Yeah. But I do think there's a difference between getting a female Lance Stroll or a female Pastor Maldonado. It's regardless of what Maldonado was or whether he had the backing or not, he still won GP2. He
was a racing driver who had massive flaws, but was a race winner.
Yes.
And had the skills to win races.
Yeah, but if all of a sudden we have teams that jump on the idea of like, oh well, hang on a second, the advertising opportunities for us if we have a female Formula One driver are massive. That it's just a brand new breed of pay driver.
Yeah.
And that's not what we want to see.
No, we want to see... We all want to see a woman make it to Formula One on merit.
Yeah.
But please, if you're a young female driver who is interested in motorsport, perhaps wants to get into the sport, do not be put off by Carmen Jordan's words today. What she said is unequivocally wrong, and she must retract that comment, and she hasn't done yet. She's trying to clarify it and made it worse.
Yeah, yeah. I do worry.
No, I wasn't saying that it's too challenging. I was just saying that we're not strong enough.
Absolute feminist, you. But oh fuck! I forgot what I was going to say now. No, she's gone. It's gone.
Fair enough. You've been quite quiet on this, Paul.
Yeah, I've just really not had anything much else to say because I'm just kind of agreeing with the points that you're making.
Yeah.
It's difficult to get into Formula One. There shouldn't be a barrier into getting in because of gender.
No,
It's just,
absolutely.
do you have the talent?
Yeah.
And now there are more young girls coming through junior racing series than there ever were before. So the likelihood that within 15 years,
Yeah.
one of the young girls that is now racing, I don't know, mini stocks
Or Formula 4.
Yeah.
or Formula 4 or something like that.
I'd love to know the maths
gets into
for it.
F1.
I'd love to know what the maths are. If you take,
What percentage of...
like, if you take 2,000, if you take 2,000 people, what percentage of those would be capable of racing? And then out of those people, what percentage would be capable of racing professionally? And then out of those people, what people would be capable of even getting to the point of maybe getting to Formula One?
Like where George Russell is
Yes.
now, for example.
Yeah.
And that because if you could think of the statistics of what that is for men now, it might be an eye opening for how many more females are going to have to want to get into motorsport for the possibility to even fucking arise. I think we've said it before, haven't we? I think Dan, I think you probably said it much more eloquently than I did. What we've it's simply it's not so much like people use the words like male dominated, maybe too much and in the wrong sense for my liking, just because it's something that naturally men have gravitated towards more than women.
In the past.
Yeah, it's well, even now there's more men want to be racing drivers than girls want to be racing drivers. There is more girls that want to be racing drivers now.
Yeah.
But I still think that the amount of men that want to
The
do it.
Yeah, the ratio is still
Yeah.
weighed heavily in the
It's
favour of men.
in the same
males.
because I don't obviously because it's sensitive subjects. You can't speak about these things without talking like thinking that you walk on eggshells sometimes. And I don't. But like the hyper extremes of this in like a normal everyday environment would be there are more men that want to be bricklayers than there are hairdressers. That is a fact.
We'd have to fact check that, but yes, I would.
Yeah.
I would be quite confident in agreeing with you on that
So
one.
yeah, so it's just like you can't. Like if diversity is great, but diversity can't be forced.
Well, you do also need the women coming through to know where there are roadblocks that the men don't even realise are there.
Yeah.
Because there may be all sorts of ways that women are being stopped from getting through that men don't realise they're stopping women.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again,
Which I think in the case of British lower classes racing is the fact that it's run by a bunch of pensioners that still have 1950s and 1960s attitudes, and women should be barefoot pregnant and in the kitchen.
yeah, that's that. Yeah, you're totally right. But that's unfortunately, I think there's things like that. Things like that can't change overnight.
No, but I mean, this is what the again
Dare to be
referring-
different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, referring to that, if a young female driver is finding a problem in lacking in opportunities purely because of a gender, then that's what that program is there for. Oh, hang on a second, why? Susie Wall's quite high profile now. Her husband is multiple world champion team boss. So at the highest level of motorsport, there's absolutely no reason that Susie couldn't be the manager of a team at some point in the future. There's absolutely no reason that anybody in the Dare to Be Different campaign could go on to. Maybe look at Christian Horner, for example. He was a driver who then became a team boss. More women in the sport is good for the sport, but when it comes to drivers, as you said, it's a question of talent, and they have to be completely ready before they go in. I get the feeling that women have been rushed in the past because oh look, we've got a woman, let's put them in the sport immediately.
I also think that some of this, just my own little opinion, when people say about how difficult it is, how there's not enough women in Formula One, or it's there needs to be more women, it's kind of belittling to the women that are already involved in Formula One. Like there is like all you need to do is watch a live broadcast of the paddock to see how many teams have women involved in, like who you Haas strategist
Ruth Buscombe.
Like
Chief strategist.
I don't think people understand that when you get it. I think it's a good, pretty 50-50 mix when you see the drivers in the pits that not in the pits, in the pit. Like it's a good 50-50 split whether there's a girl with them or a boy with them. Like they do with the recorder thing.
With their media handles.
And I think the people that say there's no woman in important positions in Formula One don't really understand where those people are within the marketing team.
Yeah, it's not just the drivers. There are technicians, there are designers, there are people in media and marketing.
The point that I think a lot of people are trying to make is we can't name those people. We can't put a face to. Oh, that's and I'm making up a name here. That's Nicole from the Renault team. There you go.
But I think there's probably a lot of people that see like the.
I knew her dad.
Papa.
Yeah.
The girl stood with Hamilton, who's recording thing. When he's doing his interview.
You mean Rosa?
No, it's a different one, different person. They don't seem to understand that. Like, it's not just a girl that's been stuck in front of a camera with a microphone. She's massively high up in Mercedes. It's like it's probably one of the best jobs for her career path to get to that point to be
in marketing though, not driving in motorsport.
No, but the whole thing's encompassing, isn't it? Because you get people saying, "Well, there's no women in Formula One," and it's complete bollocks.
Yeah, but as a sweeping statement, I think most people generalising drivers.
Well,
in
no,
that.
because
It's like there's no women in football.
it was only
There
the,
are,
it was
but
only
not
the
playing
other
football
day
with the men.
No, but it was only the other day that I can't remember who tweeted up saying, "Oh well, there's no women designers or stuff like that." So well, it is put the whole sport as being like this male-dominated environment, and it's clearly not quite as male-dominated as maybe certain media people want to put it forward as.
But I think the fact that you can name Claire Williams, Ruth Buscombe,
Formerly Manisha Kaltenborn.
yeah,
Yeah.
and not many more women that even
Yeah, but there's a lot
fairly
of...
knowledgeable fans can name. Whereas if you were asked to name 10 men in Formula One,
Oh yeah, but you're talking. I mean, you talk about the faces of the various teams, not like the depth of the entire team. Do you know what I mean? It's
but it's still saying that things aren't.
oh yeah, no,
There's a long way from complete equality there.
yeah, but nothing should be completely. There shouldn't be a complete equality, because a complete equality would mean that certain people, both male and female, lost jobs to make things equal.
But what there should be is complete equal opportunity.
Yes, that's perfect. Yeah, but and I don't know. I think the
Long and short of it is that Carmen Jordan's got it wrong.
yeah
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that everyone is in complete agreement of.
Yeah.
Can we get away from this? Chris, get the guitar.
Good
let's do
idea.
that, yeah.
Without throttling yourself on the headphones.
Oh, hang on.
Serving my penalty tonight.
Yeah, Paul serving a penalty. This is going to be an interesting one.
Especially when you're going to unlock yourself.
Do you know
Take
what?
the headphones off,
Headphones
Chris.
are off. Headphones are off. I don't need to hear myself playing guitar.
Neither do we.
Total shunt. Total shunt. Look at everybody. It's a total shunt. Oh no, it's not. This time it's Paul. What the hell's going on? Serving a penalty. Look out. Here comes a total shunt.
So I'm at the back of the grid this week.
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm waving the flag.
you're Bernie.
I am. I'm not that old. I've
Almost.
got better
Charlie
hair.
Whiting?
Got better hair than both of them.
You're closer to Bernie than the rest of us.
You're closer to casualty.
So is Bernie.
So is Paul. Oh, guitar down.
I'm going to be the one dishing the penalties out this week. This one's from Daniel Kincaid. So thanks very much for sending this in. You actually emailed it in to the Three Legs Four Wheels email address. Normally it's send them by Twitter private message to Lee, who is...
At a total shunt. If you haven't got a Twitter, people have signed up just to do it, so fucking do it.
That message was brought to you by Lee's Ego. Available in 6-packs.
It's all right, the wrinkles are starting to get out of it now.
But no, this is from Daniel Kincaid, and I can confirm he's done it properly, because your first clue, I was born
Oh, get in.
Yes.
in 1955.
I'm out.
Now you know what we go through every week.
So 1955, so we're looking at a year younger than Herman Tilke from last week's.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm not allowed to say.
Hey, I'm not looking at you.
No.
Eddie Jordan.
I'm not allowed to say how old Herman Tilke is.
That might not be a bad shout.
Do you want the second clue?
Yes.
I was European karting champion in 1975.
So at the age of 20.
Yeah, European karting champion at age of 20. That is
quite
late.
old.
Yeah. 1975. So if they were to break through as a driver, they did it quite late on, probably into the 80s.
Probably be thinking roughly 85 to go from karting
You
champion
did
to
get some
Formula
old
One.
drivers back then, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you fully did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, look at Roland Ratzenberger when he was driving 94. He was like 37.
Oh no, I saw the ultimate in old drivers on something last week. It was
You had a driving lesson.
ha ha ha. It was one of the domestic championships in New Zealand, And there's been various races that we've heard of that have won it before. I think, obviously, Brendan Hartley's been in there, but I think Lando Norris raced in it a couple of years ago. And they had an entire grid. 19 of the drivers were all 18 or under. And the guy who qualified in 20th was 72.
Wow.
Whoa! Fair play.
Who he'd been...
What position? What position did he qualify?
He was 20th.
Out of 20.
Congratulations.
Out of 20. Finished 19th, though. He did overtake someone.
Maybe they crashed.
But this guy's been racing since the 60s. He's a New Zealand racing legend, apparently. And I'll have to make a total shunt about him one day.
Oh, so he's the one that isn't the rugby player.
Or Brendan Hartley.
Or Skippy.
Or Denny Hume.
That's all of them.
That's it.
They've got some cricketers as well. You want a third clue?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please.
I finished third in Formula 2 in 1980 with 3 wins. And I'm going to need a guess off you after this one.
Yeah, I don't know if...
I'm enjoying it. I've got power. I'm loving this.
I don't know. Did Eddie Jordan nearly make it as a driver? I don't know, to be honest with you.
See, I think Jordan was just a businessman, wasn't he?
I don't know.
An astute Irish businessman.
Let's not put Jordan forward first because
Because you don't like to say his name.
I don't like to say his name, and I,
If you say it 3 times, he'll turn up.
given my hate for Eddie Jordan,
No.
2.
Careful.
what the it's okay. I'm not looking in the mirror. I would think that a listener would make it painfully obvious further down the list who he was talking about in a jokey
see.
fashion.
Now, Lee is using his experience as total...
Yeah.
usual
A
total
shunt master.
Shunt master. I like that, yeah.
So, gentlemen, your first guess, please.
Do you want to go with Roland Ratzenberger?
No, he would be too young.
Too
for
young?
that, for that. I think he would be just about too young by only by a couple of years.
Team owners. What team owners have we got that might have made it? That might have just not made it to Formula One, but might have been racers. Old team owners.
Should we stick Ratzenberger could have been 38 when he had his accident, which would kind of tie in.
Did Frank Williams race?
Yeah, but not that late.
No, of course he'd have been in a wheelchair by then, would he?
No, early 80s. I think he was put in a wheelchair.
Was he?
But I think Frank Williams is into his 70s now, isn't he?
Yeah,
Whereas we're looking for
Someone in
someone...
their 60s.
60s.
Yeah.
I'm out at the minute, so yeah, go Ratzenberger.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't think it's Ratzenberger.
No, because if he's in the
We've had Ratzenberger, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. But also, if he's in the 60s, Senna's accident that weekend at Imola was only 4 years ago. So that would put him. He'd have to be very, very late 30s, wouldn't he?
What age did Jackie Stewart get into Formula One?
Way before that, he was world champion by the time in 1975.
Was he? No, was he? I didn't know whether he was a young champion or.
Yeah,
whether
no, he was
old.
champion in
Right.
I think his first championship was 69, 70, something like that.
Come on, I'm lost.
I want to say like someone like Elio De Angelis.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh, come on, Lee.
Then why not say it?
Yeah, Elio De Angelis.
That's your first guess.
Yeah,
Elio
why
De
not?
Angelis.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Next clue. I made my Formula One debut in 1982.
So somebody who did make it to Formula One.
Or somebody that has a team. Doesn't necessarily mean he debuted as a driver, does it?
No, will be quite rare for someone to be in Formula 2 in 1980 and then own a team by 82.
Unless it was a Formula 2 team that they owned.
When did Martin Brundle make his debut?
He raced Senna in British Formula 3 in 1983, I think.
Right, okay.
And then Senna was in Formula 1 the following year, and Brundle was the year after that, I think. Or 2 years after that.
What about someone like Riccardo Patrese? Is he?
I was just going to say Kiki Rosberg. well.
No, Rosberg was in Formula One a bit
He was
earlier
he
than
was
that.
world champion in 1982.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Patrese not a bad shout.
Don't need another guess yet. We've still got a couple more clues
Yeah,
before.
My ego says I debuted in the world in 1982.
I raced for Tolman, Brabham, and Benetton.
Riccardo Patrese.
So that's double Enstone.
Riccardo Patrese was
Gerhard Berger.
as well as Ferrari. Patrese would have raced for Benetton and Brabham, I think.
I think he raced for Williams as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he was Mansell's teammate in the early 90s.
Who else is on the Benetton picture behind you?
That's JJ Leto, Jos Verstappen, and somebody else. Probably Michael Schumacher.
Probably.
Next clue,
Yeah.
and I'll need a guess after this one.
Okay.
I scored 2 podiums in my 5 F1 seasons.
Not the most successful of drivers.
So 82. So we're going 82, 83, 84, 85, 86 if you did consecutive seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Elio De Angelis died in 86, although it was during testing, I think, before the season started.
I'm trying to think of Benetton drivers because that's the best thing I can, the closest thing I can probably remember
Yeah.
would be when this guy was in Benetton. I can't think of anybody.
Someone like, no, I was going to say Alessandro Nannini, but he was later than that. He was definitely late 80s.
Didn't he
early
find
90s.
himself in like Arrows as well at some point?
Probably. Remember, in the 80s, Benetton weren't really a forefront team. They were quite...
A bit of a joke.
Yeah, they were a bit of a joke for quite a long time, Benetton. Because they were a clothing company that basically took over a Formula One team. So...
Even my mum used to say cars crap, but the uniforms are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need another guess.
Yeah, I need a guess off you after this one.
It wouldn't be Verstappen, would it?
No, Jos Verstappen.
He's too young.
Yeah.
Too young, yeah. I got nothing.
I can't. I don't know.
Should we just should we throw Riccardo Patrese out there anyway?
Yeah.
Riccardo Patrese.
Okay, that is your second guess locked in. Next clue. I raced in America, picking up 5 wins in IndyCar.
Interesting.
Move on to the next clue.
Could it be an American that came to Europe? Because we're just thinking of European drivers, aren't we?
It could be an American who came to Europe.
I can't think of an American driver that drove for Benetton.
No, me neither.
Or
Well,
Brabham.
apart from JJ Leto.
He was Finnish.
Finish.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
It was only JJ because his first 2 names are absolutely unpronounceable and they've got lots of K's in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't.
I assumed with a name like that he was American.
No, he was Finnish. Still is Finnish.
Right, we've got another question. Haven't
You
we?
got, you got another one. Where are we? Clue 8. I won the World Sports Car Championship, better known as WEC these days, in 1991.
Martin Brundle won it in 1990. So whoever won it in 1991. Not Riccardo Patrese then, or Elio De Angelis.
No.
Next clue.
Yep.
This is clue 9, and there is a Spaffer clue after this.
Right.
So clue 9. I took pole at the Indy 500 in 1983 with a speed of 207.395 miles an hour.
Going to pull this guy up in a technicality. Clue 10 should be a clue.
No.
Clue 11 should be the Spaffer clue.
He's only done 10.
I don't care.
Well, then there's no Spaffer. There's just 10.
Yeah.
So 10 and the Spaffer. And I'll need your final guess after this. Up until Fernando Alonso in 2017, I was the last active F1 driver to compete in the Indy 500 in 1984.
That's a Spaffer?
I was the last active F1 driver to compete in the Indy 500 in 1984, but in 2017, Alonso didn't compete in the Indy 500 in 1984?
Oh, stop it! Stop it!
I do know this, but the name.
You got a 5-second penalty for next week.
I do know this, but the name has escaped me.
I'm sure Mansell did the Indy 500, but not
When
in...
he was IndyCar.
Oh, yeah. So he wasn't an
active.
active...
I can't remember his name or his face.
You don't know who it is, do you?
No, I do know. I do know the answer to this.
What about his nationality?
No idea.
Oh,
What about his hair game?
Quite strong.
strong hair, right. We're back in the game.
I'm out.
No idea.
I am Teo Farby.
No idea who
Yeah.
it is. No idea.
Yeah, Italian driver.
Italian driver. Raced for Tolman, Benetton, and Brabham. Also raced for Newman Haas.
Was that Alfa Romeo Brabham as well?
I'm just
All
looking.
of the Italian connections.
Yes, it was. Raced for Newman Haas in IndyCar in 1992.
Replaced by Nigel Mansell.
Yes. 2 podiums in Le Mans as well, which he didn't put in. His podiums in F1 came in... Oh, it was Brabham BMW.
Oh, not Alpha.
Not Brabham Alpha. For MRD International, there was one in 1984, and got a podium for Benetton in 1987. Didn't race in 1983.
I think he was one of the pointless answers that Sean Kelly was looking for in a class photo of Formula One drivers.
Yes, he was.
from one year.
He was the man we needed.
He was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I'd
sure
have,
would have got it straight
yeah,
away.
he'd have got that on either 1 or 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did know that because
And would have had at least 20 more facts.
we pulled that stat up when Alonso was doing the Indy 500, and I did know that it was Teo Fabi, but I
Yes.
just couldn't recall it.
No,
But thank you for that one, Daniel. That was a good one.
Yeah.
That is
Thank
Daniel,
you, mate.
Daniel Kincaid. Like I said before, if you want to send a total shunt in, best thing to do, the only thing to do, is send it direct message to Lee at Twitter at a total shunt.
Yes.
And if that broke your head, then tough.
Basically, yeah. Quick update on Formula Lee. I've got to admit, I'm not actually copied all the times down on the spreadsheet yet because I've been having a few days off from spreadsheets.
But you love them so much.
I love them so much. If you love something, set it free, and I've set my spreadsheets free.
Set your spreadsheets free.
But just to let you know, it is the last race of the Winter Series, and it's the 2004 Ferrari at Monza in the dry.
It
and
is your last chance to win the Nico Rosberg helmet.
It is, courtesy of our friends at CM Helmets.
Yes,
Check the website out at cmhelmets.com.
absolutely do.
Please just send me the Damon Hill helmet.
You're not going to let that rest, are you?
Please, just send it, and then I can stop begging. I can keep advertising you, and we're all happy.
But if you're listening, you know what to do.
If you close your eyes and wish hard enough, the helmet fairy will come during the...
Oh, that sounds like a terrible
Yeah, I
thing.
know. I realised
fairy.
what I was saying just
Oh dear.
just in the point as I was
Especially
saying.
after what we were talking about.
Why
on the
do I
Patreon
think the
earlier.
helmet fairy looks like Alan Carr?
Oh no, even worse.
And there's a complete niche joke. We've had a few tweets and messages in. Had a couple today on Kevin Magnussen not being the biggest fan of the Halo.
Which is understandable.
He
Some drivers are not going to be. We saw, was it Pierre Gasly getting caught on the...
ripped his racing suit on it last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you rip your racing suit getting in, do you not have to change your racing suit because you've then violated the FIA terms of safety by ripping your racing suit?
Well, it depends on how you caught the Halo. You could have violated something else. I would have thought so because, I mean, it's a flame-proof shell, isn't it? So chances are, yes, you would have to.
Yeah, I would imagine that would have been the case, in a race situation or an official timed session that's not testing basically.
It doesn't look very sharp.
No, but Magnussen has said it's difficult to get out of the car, more difficult to get into the car.
He's called it awkward and annoying, which Mickey Edwards has sent us a tweet saying,
Well, he'd know.
yeah, Magnussen's awkward and annoying like the Halo, and he doesn't appear to be going anywhere anytime soon either.
No, I did see a
Was
message.
that Fantastic.
We like this person.
I applaud thee.
Well, well, rather, I saw a message from another listener saying, "Is he getting his excuses in early?"
Quite possibly.
I can't drive Formula One anymore because of this thing over my head. You know, that thing that everyone else has have to deal with.
So what was your excuse for the other 4 years?
Another one that I saw was is Magnussen actually going backwards since his time at McLaren. And I think that includes the day since the day that they fired him.
Well, yeah,
He was a broken driver when they first fired him. Don't forget that.
Magnussen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think he was a particularly good driver when he was driving for them. I don't think his driving's gone downhill. I think he's stayed exactly where he was.
He's just not progressed. He's
just in a worse team.
Yeah.
What else have we got? Darren Entwistle, he sent us a tweet saying, could the new Tommy Hilfiger deal at Mercedes help Stroll land a seat with them next year?
No.
God, no.
It's a good conspiracy theory.
I think if he shows himself to be a good enough driver, then having that in place won't hurt.
No.
But he needs to show himself to be a good enough driver. He is not going to Mercedes unless he can do some special things at Williams.
But he's got to lead that. He's got to lead that Williams team this year.
I just remembered what I was going to say before about Williams, so I'll say it now quickly while we're talking about it. Do you think the reason all of a sudden Kubica's got an extra day in the car is because you were saying about Sorokin looking slow? And
Well, we don't know what his test program was, but both times that he put in were incredibly slow.
But when you're up against Stroll, and you'd imagine that they're going to be, especially for a new driver, a new driver in Formula One, you'd think that his test program would be similar to the guy that's already had a season, so they can evaluate where he is.
Well, yeah, they've clearly already evaluated him. They did that at the end of the season, didn't they? When Sorokin and Kubica were running the
that's
2014
yeah,
Williams.
but that's the old car. You're in the new car, aren't you? So if you're not looking favourable against Stroll, unless
your reserve driver,
or if unless Stroll has all of a sudden over the winter got his shit together, which is fucking possible.
Yeah.
Maybe. I wonder if there's a situation where after the second test they decide, no, we're going to go with Kubica.
I think it's probably a lot simpler than that. Kubica has more experience of providing good feedback on cars.
And they just need somebody.
Need the good experience feedback, so they're giving him a lot of time in the car to do that.
Yeah. So, which raises an interesting point in my head, which is what if the development race heats up? We were talking about that tightly packed midfield.
Yeah.
What if the development race heats up and Williams find themselves suddenly lagging behind? Are they going to have to put Robert Kubica in for a few more FP1s?
Quite a lot of FP1s?
Or a race weekend?
I still think we're in for another one of those Williams years where we go, I wonder how good that car is.
Yeah. Oh, we just found out how good that car is. Robert Kubica's in it.
Yeah. No, but even so, I don't...
Do we actually know what the third FP1 that Kubica's doing yet? Because he couldn't remember when they launched the car.
Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
2 more. I can't remember what the...
Australia.
Spain, Abu Dhabi, and there is another one.
And one other.
Yeah.
But not Austria.
Not Austria.
Not Austria, apparently. Because somebody, possibly I think Jenny Gow, tweeted Austria and then corrected herself.
Oh, okay.
About 5 minutes later. But it could be Austria, the one that he'd forgotten, because nobody knows because he'd forgotten it.
Fair enough. Probably Silverstone.
Probably. Thank you to everyone on Facebook, by the way, that's been giving advice to George Osterwise, who got in touch saying he was thinking of going to the Canadian Grand Prix this year and wanted to know how best to go about it, where to sit, what to do.
Where to go, yeah.
Basically.
Canada. Well, yeah, but come on, Dan. Montreal,
Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve is a good start.
Yeah.
Ile de Notre Dame.
Where does he live? Country, not address.
27894.
I think he's in the US.
Right, so a plane would probably be the first thing to do.
The airport.
Yeah.
Good start. If you want to get in touch at all, then get us on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/3legs4wheels.
Yep.
We're on Twitter at 3legs4wheels, or we are also at
Flood21.
At _Dan__.
2 weeks on the trot. We're winning.
And I'm at a total shunt.
And I'm at Pablo100. You can find us on Instagram as well, and there's something kicking about on Drive Tribe. And I try to post things on Drive Tribe, but it keeps crashing every time I try and put anything on there.
Drive Tribe keeps crashing. A tribe of drivers keeps crashing.
Yeah, I think they put Richard Hammond in charge of it this week, which is probably why.
Fair enough.
Oh, I've got my Instagram as well. I'm at a total shunt on Instagram too.
Oh, you finally on Instagram?
A total shunt on
You're finally
Instagram.
using your Instagram?
Yeah.
Bloody hell, I might even have to follow
And
you.
that other thing, that VO.
Didn't last, did it? Isn't it gone already?
Is it gone already,
I
has
don't
it?
know.
I don't
Vero.
know. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But just as a quick cross-promotional plug, I've started my own music Instagram. You can follow me at Chris Flood Music.
I'm going to do a little plug as well, considering we had another uptick in listeners.
Can we just get the other big plug in for something of our stuff first?
No, because I've started, so I'll finish. I do another podcast called Must See Audio, so go and subscribe to it.
And we also do another podcast on Patreon.
Yeah.
Just pays for the running costs for the show, pays for the trips that we managed to get away to
do interviews.
It's not jollies. It's trying to impress on everyone that I know that when we were going to Mercedes and McLaren, it was business and not pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And believe me, it's definitely not pleasure when you're cooped up in a room in a travel lodge with the incredible bathing man and the only thing you've got to eat is a Marks and Spencer sandwich. That's not fun.
Not ideal.
No.
But you can get that by going to patreon.com/3legs4wheels. You can subscribe from as little as $1 a month because it's American and it won't let us do pounds.
But that gives you an extra half an hour show every week. So essentially you're getting 2 hours of extra show. Where we don't talk about Formula One, we'll try not to talk about Formula One for $1 a month.
Yeah. More if you want.
Yes.
And there's occasionally appeals for more patronage for longer race blogs. Are we doing the same thing for Le Mans again this year?
No.
Thank God for that. I'll watch it. I'll tweet. I'm not staying up 24 hours again. We'll be back next week. We will have a breakdown of the second week of testing. And
Well, guess who the breakdowns will actually be with?
we'll know it's broken down and we'll know it'll be looking dubious for Australia. And we'll have the results of the final race of the Formula Lee Winter Series.
Yeah.
And the launch of the 2018 Formula Lee season. Which means it's nearly time for the F1 season.
I'm working on the 4-hour opening ceremony.
At time of recording, we are 20 days away from the beginning of the Formula One season.
I thought you were going to say Formula Lee season.
Less than that.
No, we're only 7 days away from the start of the Formula Lee season. Just thinking 3 shows' time, we'll be reviewing a race.
Bum, bum,
Awesome.
bum.
In 2 shows' time, we'll be previewing a race.
And we're hoping to get some pretty good guests on
And
before then, aren't we?
We do have some guests lined up for future shows.
Hopefully they will be
Before the
free and
start of the
available
season.
before the start of the season.
And I will be sending tweets and messages to those people concerned as soon as possible. And it won't be a trip away. They'll be ringing us. Right, we are going to leave you alone for the rest of the week. I'm actually going to go to an airport without Lee for the first time this year. I'm looking forward to that.
I don't blame you.
Not an official podcast business for the first time in however long.
I'm going on pleasure, not business, so I'm paying for this one myself.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to not having to wait for you to get strip searched again.
I'm looking forward to not having someone with me that bribes a security guard 20 quid to strip search me. Or if it does happen, I'll be having serious words with Sean. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.